Hello, and welcome to a somewhat late episode of the Stash-down Diaries. My name is Jen, and this is my YouTube channel where I talk all about my knitting projects and plans with a focus on using up my stash. So, yeah, I was going to record on the weekend. I was going to pre-record an episode to have while I'm away this weekend. But it didn't work out like that. I decided to go into my parents' house and stay there for the weekend and help out my search and rescue team. Our team helps out the local wildlife park with their big Fright Night fundraiser. It's a trail through the woods with all kinds of like creepy things happening and scares and stuff. So what we do is we hang out along the trail and we offer assistance to anybody who might need it, whether that's like looking for their cell phones that they lost, or first aid, or they need to be taken off the trail. So anyway, that's where I was on the weekend. So I lost a lot of time at home to do the things that I do at home, and one of those things is recording. So here I am, and I am a little overwhelmed with, like, I'm really busy trying to get ready for this work trip to Maine and get packed and get the animals stuff together to take them to my parents' house. And then we're going to the theater. I have another night of Fright Night to do. So yeah, and I was going to leave this until I came back, but I don't want to do that. I have finished objects to talk about, and I'm sure you want to see, especially one in particular. But anyway, I will start off with acquisitions as usual. And yeah, there's a few. So I can't get my bag out of there. So first things first, I had ordered from Frankie Gray Fibers the mini skein set, the Beetlejuice one. And that came in, and here it is. And it is beautiful and soft and wonderful. I don't know if I can do this. Look at that. So these are the 3 solids in the set. And these are the 3 variegated in the set. And the reason that I got these is because I really want to play with color with some socks. Like, I have some patterns that I purchased from Summer League. And like, if you're familiar with her patterns, like, there's some color play afoot with those ones. So I saw the set, I absolutely loved it. The other, like, there's other options too. I might not use them all for socks. I see a potential 2-colored muscle burrow with these 2. There's potential there. Or I could get like a neutral color and do a top of some sort, a fingering weight sweater or something with stripes or color work. So there's all kinds of options here for different things to do. Oops, I just dropped one. So I might as well just move on to the next thing. Oh, and I also got this Frankie Gray Fibers bag when I ordered them too. It is super fun and iridescent and right up my alley. So yeah, kind of couldn't resist that. So then Tracy came to my community during the Celtic Colors Festival, which is a music festival that's held here, like kind of Cape Breton wide, for the weekend. And so she usually tries to come up here when that is happening, because this is almost like kind of a hub of activity for the Celtic Colors Festival. The main concert is like in Sydney, and some other concerts are in Sydney, but where we're like the start and the end of the Cabot Trail, and there's stuff going on all over the island, it's a good place to kind of be during Celtic Colors. So anyway, oh, and the Gaelic College is like 15 minutes down the road or something like that, so a lot of people stay here and go to the Gaelic College. So she was here. All that to say, she was here. And I bought yarn. So I have one that is actually already cast on, so you will see it in works in progress. But this one is one that I went in with the intention of purchasing. And I was so happy I found it in DK. This is the colorway I wanted. It is called Kindness Matters by Timber Yarns. And it is such a fun stripy colorway. I don't have very much self-striping yarn left. I worked through a lot of it and hadn't purchased a whole lot more. I think I only just have some Felici in my stash. I have a bunch of scraps, mind you, but as far as fresh skeins to knit socks, I just have the Felici, I'm pretty sure. So I purchased this, and this is going to be my Christmas Eve cast on this year. So you might hear Piper in the background. She is trying to get nested. I think I'm going to take a moment and help her. Okay, she's all nestled in now. Piper is my dog. She likes to be underneath blankets this time of year. So she has me trained, basically. She'll paw wherever she's at to let me know that she wants a blanket over her. So if we're in my bed, she'll paw right and stare at me and expect me to lift the blanket up for her, which I do, of course. If we're on the couch, even if there's no blanket there, she will paw at the couch and look at me, and then I have to go get her a blanket. So anyway, she's good now. So, okay, this is going to be my Christmas Eve cast on. And then I saw this. Stitch Noir strikes again. This is right up my alley. I am not 100% sure what I'm going to do with this. Actually, I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do with it. I think it is going to be a book sleeve and socks. I will talk about book sleeves a little later, spoilers, but look at that. How could I resist that? So this colorway is called Let's Bounce. And yeah, like I said, Stitch Noir. I have a whip on the go out of this yarn. I've knit with it before. One of my favorite colorways ever, I think. I knit a little Curious Handmade shawl out of, actually it's very similar, sort of, to some of the coloring here, like the more aqua-y. But anyway, I always love her colorways. There are more there that I'd really like to get, especially for my nieces to knit socks, but I have a bunch of sock yarn like intended for them now. So it's going to be a while before I purchase more sock yarn for them. So yeah, that's, I think the plan with that one is a book sleeve and socks for me. So those are my acquisitions. Little different cattail today. Hi, Ginny. If you follow me on Instagram, you are probably expecting a certain finished object. I am going to go from smallest to largest right now. So I'm going to start with a finished object that you have not seen as a work in progress because it worked up pretty quickly, and it is a book sleeve. Look at that. So the pattern is just called Book Sleeve, and it's by Nick Naiman? N-A-I-M-A-N, Naiman. So there it is. The reason that I wanted to knit a book sleeve is because I go back and forth to my parents. I'm also going on that trip to Maine. I always take books with me, and I'm concerned about throwing them in and out of bags all the time. And you know, the cover might flap open and then bend and get creased, and some of the pages might flap open. So the book sleeve just keeps it nice and contained. So this used 26 grams of this yarn. When I knit the other one with the new yarn, I am going to knit it a little bit bigger so that I have another size book. The buttons were just buttons that I had in my stash. I think I got them free from a local stitch marker maker, I think. Somebody sent me them with a package for free. So I have these two, and then I have two more of these ones that I'm going to put on the other book sleeve as well. But look at this yarn. So I'm going to talk about the yarn. This is yarn that I got on cruise ship day in September when I went to Tracy's Rolling Yarn Shop when the grocery girls were there. And it is Muskoka Yarn Goddess. Oh, trying to get the label ready for you. There it is, Muskoka Yarn Goddess. Oh, my thumb is over it, sorry. Sorry, there we go. So this is a dyer out of Ontario, and they had sent down with, I believe the Timber Yarns folks, some special edition yarn. And this is called, the colorway is called Peggy's Cove. So it was inspired by a photo of Peggy's Cove, which is here in Nova Scotia, where like the famous lighthouse is. The base is 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it is lovely. So I am glad that I have some left over. So options with this, I was going to knit a Musselburgh for one of my nieces with this, but I was looking at it and I'm like, I really want to keep that for myself. But I still can knit a Musselburgh as well. It's either going to be socks for me or a small person's Musselburgh. I don't know yet. It would make a lovely Musselburgh with that merino wool. But anyway, so that is my first finished object of the episode, which was also not seen before. So there that is. Okay, next. Next largest finished object. Ta-da! This is my Wintersal sweater, and it is completely finished. Look at it. It is all done. So Wintersal is a pattern by Jennifer Steingass. I had concerns. I was concerned that the neck was going to be floppy because I did a ribbed neck for it. The neck that she has you do in the pattern is like pretty much almost cast off right away. You knit it up this way and knit the neck, and then you start knitting down. So I figured I could try this neck out, and if I didn't like it, it'd be easy to rip out and just knit back up again, right? Didn't have to do that. It doesn't sit awkwardly or anything like that, especially not after blocking. And I love how this blocked out. The stitches are just so lovely. It's softened up a little bit, but it's still not something that I would wear next to the skin. This is Let Lopey yarn. Istex Let Lopey. And yeah, it's fits a little bit. It's a little bit more fitted, I think, than I would like, but I will see. Generally, my rule with sweaters, if I don't wear this at all in the winter, then it will be rehomed to somebody in my family who will fit it better, but we will see. I have absolutely no problem giving this away and knitting like another Lopey sweater. It's fine. And the thing is, like when I knit it, I went up a needle size, and it still didn't use up as much yarn as I thought it would. I thought about ripping this out and making it longer, but there's nothing wrong with the length, really. I'm just accustomed to wearing really long, like, well, this cardigan is like super long, and I'm used to wearing really long hoodies and stuff, so it just seems short to me, but it's not, and it's going to be a layering piece. It's not going to be something that's going to be next to the skin, so it doesn't have to be super long. It's fine. So there it is. Maisie wants to check it out as well. So I don't know if there's a whole lot else to say about it. I was really pleased with myself. Sometimes the trouble I run into as I was a beginner sweater knitter is when I would pick up the stitches in the underarm and there'd be these huge gaps and I'd have to try to fill them. I didn't have to do much filling on these gaps when I wove the ends in. It wasn't too bad. But yeah, there it is. My Wintersal is finally done, and I can move on to another garment, which is exciting. Ma'am, really? Okay. So, if you follow me on Instagram, where I'm also the Stash-down Diaries there as well, formerly CB Island Knitter, and just wanted to streamline things, so I changed it. You saw that this was done. This is my fire season blanket. And yeah, so I finished this the day before fire season ended because I went by the forecasted fire weather index. Let me go back because I think there's a lot of new people here that might not have seen this before, only seen glimpses of it. So this is based off of the forest fire index for Cape Breton Island, which is part of the province of Nova Scotia in Atlantic Canada. There are, I can't remember if it's 6 or 7. I think it's 7 weather stations. 1, 2, 3. No, there's 6. Yeah. No, there is 7 because there's one in the park. Okay. So there's 7 fire weather stations. I went with the one with the highest fire weather index for the day. This is very similar to a temperature blanket, just with the fire weather index instead. So, my colors, I wanted to do one for 0 because I knew that the month of March, which is the beginning of fire season, March 15th, would end up all blue if I didn't. So, I went with, this is all Briggs & Little Heritage yarn. I went with this dark maroon for 0. This color here, there is a saga. I won't go through it again this time. You can see it in previous videos. I talk about it, especially back in, I think I had another situation in August, but it goes back to like March or April. Anyway, I think it's April. So this is Northern Sky, which is an exclusive colorway to Deanne Fitzpatrick Studio. And then I separated the months. So I used bleached white to do that. And then moderate is Folly Mountain Spruce, which is also a Deanne Fitzpatrick Studio exclusive colorway. And then you can see a little stripe of Very High right here. And that is Coral, which is an exclusive from Deanne Fitzpatrick Studio, but those are the 3. These 3 right here, actually, the blue, the green, and the pink, or coral, are the 3 exclusive colorways. The rest you can get anywhere. It's part of Briggs & Little's regular collection. This is gold. This is the high colorway that I used for high. And yeah, part of Briggs & Little's regular collection. So that was the end of April. And then we mosey on. That's May, and then things started to heat up in June, and we finally got some extreme fire weather, and this is the only time of the summer that we had extreme fire weather. And this color is a light maroon, which is part of their regular offering of colorways. So that is June. I love this part at the end where it switches back and forth between low and moderate. Now we're into July. And it's just pretty well. Oh, we got a little bit of Very High towards the end of July again. And now we are into August. And there's another stripe I really like right here where it goes high, moderate, and high. Like the moderate is bordered, the green is bordered by the yellow, which is pretty cool. Actually, this stripe is pretty cool too, bordered by the yellow. Now, where was I? I'm in August? Yes. So there's a line. We're going into September, and September, this week here, this was in the 20s, September 20 somethings. And this is a time period where the grocery girls came and I had my trip to the valley, and I kept thinking that any day it's going to switch to Very High and I'll be able to add another color, but it never happened. It just stayed at high and it was at moderate for a few days before that. So this here is September, and one of these days we had like 27, the day that the grocery girls were in port. I think that was the 20, no, it wasn't 20 something. I think it was like the 18th. I'll put it here. But it was 27 degrees and very humid. But anyway, so here we are in October. Anyway, it is done. I soaked it in the bathtub and it's like, it's super long, but I'm cool with it. I'm trying to save it from my animals because they will pick, but not intentionally, but they will, as they walk on it, their claws will get caught. Because this one is mine. I do love it. It is going to be so amazing. I try not to turn the heat on in my house until November, but I had to cave because one day, the temperature went back up again, so I could turn it off again, but one day it was just like way too cold in the house. And I had this snuggling under it as well. And at a certain point, I was able to knit with it on my lap and it kept me warm. So, yeah. Would I do this again? Yes. Not next year, though. In like 2 years' time, I would probably do another one with a different color story. Like, I try to keep it close to the actual colors of the Fire Weather Index. But this one, like, this one is very me. It's very, like, woodsy or something, you know? It's very muted. I wouldn't mind doing one that's like jewel tones, or even one that's like super bright, like Briggs & Little has like magenta and hunter orange and like peacock blue and like this really vibrant purple. So that would be a fun one to do. But I'm not going to do it for this upcoming, I say upcoming, fire season just ended and I'm already talking about the next one. The one starting in March of 2025, I will not be, because as much as I love this project, it took too much time away from my other knitting. So yeah. And I actually did love working on it. This pattern is the Garter Chevron Blanket by Catherine Anderson, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And I enjoyed looking at chevron. I enjoy knitting chevron. So it was just the perfect pattern to go with. And I can understand why some people who knit temperature blankets get sick of them, especially if they're just doing like garter stockinette stitch. I found this to be more entertaining, but could I do it for a whole year? I don't think I could do a temperature blanket for a whole year. This, yeah, it just goes from March to October, so not even the whole year. And like, you know, sometimes you fall behind a little bit. I managed to catch up really well in the end though. So anyway, looking forward to doing other blankets. And it's funny I should mention that because I'm going to get into my works in progress now and you are going to see another blanket. Though this isn't yarn, it is another acquisition. For a while, I've been wanting to purchase another Bags by Awesome Granny bag. And she was one of my first bag makers that I purchased from when I became a knitter way back in the day. Not way back, it was like 2012. So anyway, for a while I've wanted another one, and I saw this one, and it has so many of the things that just bring me joy. So like forests, books, tea, animals reading books and drinking tea. So yeah. Anyway, the important thing though is what's inside it. So this summer I purchased, okay, move that to the side for now. This was an impulse buy, this Curly Locks. This Fleece Artist Curly Locks yarn in the Marbles colorway was an impulse buy at Tracy's Rolling Yarn Shop. It was right next to the register. I couldn't resist. So I purchased it. And I was thinking about it. And when I became a knitter and I was first browsing Ravelry, I had purchased a skein of Curly Locks in the K. Breton Highlands colorway. And I was looking for things to do with it. I ended up making a triangle shawl, but one of the things that came up was this Island Embrace blanket by the late Kat Bordy. And I wanted one so bad, but at the time, yeah, I was like, yeah, I was still seasonal worker and living with my parents and stuff, I couldn't justify the amount of yarn and the cost of the yarn and all this lovely fleece artist yarn. And so it was always in the back of my mind. So of course, when I found this and I went online looking at things, the Island Embrace blanket came back up again. And of course, I ended up buying more yarn to go with it. So what it has is the curly locks. Well, it was called Rapunzel back then. The yarns that are used for it, I don't think are available anymore. There's one that's called Rapunzel, but I think it's very similar to curly locks. It might be the same thing. Then there's this baby alpaca textured yarn. I replaced it with this one, which is a DK weight. It is called Front Country, and it is so nice. I want to make a sweater out of this. Maybe not in this color, but although I do like this color, but I don't knit like variegated sweaters. But it is just so soft, and I don't know, it has like this sheen or something to it. But anyway, so I purchased this in place of the baby alpaca. And then the slubby yarn that they had in the past was slubby blue, or blue slubby, or blue slub or something. Anyway, this is slubby mix, which is the one that they have now. These are all by Fleece Artist. So it makes a really fun texture blanket. And you work the 3 yarns together. Let me just... Oh, and I didn't mention this is actually a free pattern on Ravelry. You work the 3 yarns one at a time. There's like this border section where you just use 2 of them and knit 2 rows each. And then you add the slubby yarn and you knit the 3 going back and forth. So every time you finish a row, there's another yarn for you to pick up. And actually, these needles were the whole reason why I went to Tracy's Rolling Yarn Shop last week, because I needed size, yeah, they're 12 millimeters. I didn't have any in my needle collection, so I went for those. Came back with more yarn, but it's all yarn that I'm going to use shortly and am actually using now, as you will see. So anyway, there it is. I love the color. And it's just the funnest texture, and it's going to be so enjoyable. And it is soft and all the things. So that is that one. So I purchased that curly locks. I think I bought it in the spring of this year, and then I ordered these ones online in the summertime. I'm trying to cast on yarns that I purchased this year. Should try to work some of them up so that they're not left languishing and stashed for too long. Ideally, I should be knitting yarn that has been languishing, but, well, I am still. But anyway. Okay, so that was the Island Embrace blanket. All right, let's talk about socks. And I will start with last week's other purchase at Tracy's Rolling Yarn Shop. Again, next to the register, but like, I mean, it got cast on right away. So an impulse buy that worked out by being useful right away. Anyway, this is Opal yarn. It is their 8-ply. So more of a worsted weight. It dawned on me that I have an individual that I knit socks for who does not have like a worsted weight kind of pair of house socks. So I cast some on, and I have one finished because they knit up so quickly. I just did, I did 10 rounds for the 2x2 cuff. And then it's just my good old 3x1 rib sock. And I did 30 rows of that. So total 40 rows for the leg. These are on US 3s, I think. Yeah, US 3s, which is what? 3.75? No, that's a 5. The 3? Anyway, so it's a US 3, okay? This is how far I've gotten on the second sock. So these ones are just cooking. As I said, they are opal yarn. It is in their Wilder Winter collection. Look at the cute snowman. And the colorway is 11180. And I was gonna be like, and look how it knits up, but you just saw it. So yeah, this is how it knits up. Isn't it pretty? I really like it. They had some nice colors in this collection, and I can see myself buying more and knitting more like house socks for family. Well, they don't have to be house socks. They can be boot socks too. Opal is pretty durable. I said lovely things about opal in my sock video. So yeah, they are one of my standard sock yarns that I use, and they come in 4-ply, 6-ply, and 8-ply, which is excellent. I like knitting with their 6-ply as well. I'm starting to get into that a little more, but I do also knit with their 4-ply. It doesn't really matter. I don't discriminate in sock yarn weights. But anyway. Oh, it is later than normal for me to be recording, but I've just been busy. So that is what is happening. Okay, so you saw, speaking of opal, living in a Doctor Who bag. These are knit on my usual 2.25 millimeters or US size 1s. You saw these last time, and I was here the last time. I don't think I had the heel turned yet. No, I didn't. It's ahead of the heel turn. So I turned the heel and I knit this much. So this sock is almost done. This is an opal 4-ply yarn. I can't remember. I think I have it written down. Can I find it quickly? Yes. 11155 is the colorway. And I actually have the name of the colorway, which is Weather Peak. So this one I knitted 85 rows for the leg in total. And it's 64 stitches. And my good old 3x1 rib. And it's just a good feeling sock, you know. But that is that one. So I'm hoping, I'm going to the theater. I think this will be my theater knitting. So I have one left to talk about. And it is my Halloween socks. We might have a shocker here. I can't actually remember if I worked on these this past week since the last time I recorded. I think I did. We're going to find out. Oh yeah, I did. Not a whole lot. Okay. So this one, it's a little bit behind the other sock. This is where I was the last time. I was about an inch or so before the heel. And so I got to the heel and turned the heel. And I think I finished decreasing for the gusset. It looks like I did. You would think. It's been like a month since I worked on these, the way I'm guessing. But anyway, this yarn is the lovely Stitch Noir, which you saw in my acquisitions. And the colorway is Goblin Queen. Look at it. And these are this year's Halloween socks. Now, there's a possibility that I won't finish these before Halloween, although I am going to be in a car for 8 hours and won't be the person driving, probably not. So I'll be able to work on them then. And I still have tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. So maybe. Last year I finished my Halloween socks on Halloween. And I'm not concerned about it because I won't be home for Halloween, but so that is that one. And the pattern that I use is another old standby that I always do. It is the Simple Skip Socks by Adrienne Koo. As usual, it is a 2.25 millimeter needle with 64 stitches cast on. And I did the 2x2 cuff for the rib, 2x2 rib for the cuff. And yeah, and there's the simple skip. So yeah, that is it for today. Maisie is looking at me upside down. So like I said, I'm going to be away. I thought I'd still record today because it would bump it to like a week and a half, and then I can record again in a week and a half. I'm still planning on doing a hat episode. Be a good thing to do for people who like to knit people hats for Christmas because they make great gifts. So I'm still planning on doing that even though I didn't get it done in time to post while I'm away. But it'll be like early November, first week in November, before everybody gets like super started knitting Christmas stuff. I'm already knitting Christmas stuff, but I guess it depends on how many people you have to knit for and stuff. But anyway, so that's going to happen. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to leave you with some nice fall footage around Cape Breton Island for the last week and a half. And there's like a couple of little clips of Fright Night in there too. So anyway, I will see you in about a week and a half. And until then, take care.